Hey beautiful people, this video is about what is the ultimate indicator of project success. Every project manager has dashboards full of metrics, spreadsheets to back up the dashboards full of metrics. But if you could keep only one metric to tell you whether or not you're on track and you're going to be successful, what would that metric be? Today we're going to cut through the noise and identify the ultimate indicator for project success. Hi, I'm Jennifer Kenny. I'm the best-selling author of The Innovation Mindset. And after decades of working with global teams, I've seen one metric consistently predict success, and it's not the one that most people expect. So when it comes to project success, we've got a few candidate metrics and a few ones that we pull out of the bag every single time. The first one is time, budget, and scope adherence. So those are fantastic metrics if you're a CFO. And my department reported to the CFO at one point in my career, and I had a fantastic working relationship with him. But the CFO is always concerned about time, budget, and scope adherence. The other metrics are ROI, return on investment, adoption rate, and defect count. Those metrics are a little bit closer to what it is that we're trying to get to here, which is an understanding of what is the return on investment. Now, many times before large capital budgets are allocated. So these are all valuable, but they're not definitive. And here's why they're not definitive, is because the value of a project lives in the perception of the customer. So if you're not really clear on who your internal customer is, and I don't mean all your stakeholders, I mean the person who's going to make the final call on the value of the project and speak to the value of the project and speak to the impact of the project and speak to the success of the project, that person who's going to be an ongoing advocate and supporter for the value that you've delivered and who deeply understands it and is going to leverage the technology that you're delivering in their group or their department to be able to deliver enormous value for the company and keep referring back to this as being absolutely critical and pivotal in their role to make this happen. They're your customer. Who is that person on your project? If you don't understand who that person on your project is, you don't have a really strong relationship with them, you're not in constant co-invention communication and conversations with them, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, I hear you saying, but I've got 3 internal customers who fit the bill on that. Great, that's completely fine. How much time are you spending with those 3 internal customers together in a room having the conversations around co-invention for definition of success? Invariably, when you put 3 people in a room, interesting things happen. One person comes out as being the person who is the final decision maker, who the other 2 will defer to. That one person is your final customer. Doesn't mean that you're not talking to the others. It doesn't mean that you're not engaging with them. It doesn't mean that your primary customer is not having conversations with them and is not communicating with them and is not listening to them. What it does mean is that that's the person who is absolutely essential for you to understand as being the key decision maker, and the other 2 people who you consider to be also primary customers, keep them as primary customers, that's fine, but your primary customer and key decision maker is the person that you need to be able to build that relationship of deep trust with. So the ultimate indicator, as we just talked about, is the customer satisfaction against a definition of success. Now, if you're savvy and you've been doing projects for a while, you also recognize that even if you have a primary customer who is the ultimate declarer of satisfaction, you are going to have people who are going to influence that customer. Understanding your stakeholders in the context of who influences your primary customer is incredibly valuable for you, because what it means is that you now have multiple avenues of access to co-invent and design and create and communicate with that primary customer. We sometimes, because of our focus on deliverables, we tend to celebrate the success of our deliverables, and we don't necessarily celebrate the success of our customers' delight. I've worked with large technology companies who are delivering new products, and the customer gets to have an experience of the product before the product actually goes out into the world and becomes a commercial product. When they're doing demonstrations of that experience, what they will do is they go, the demo went well or the demo didn't go well. But what does that really mean? Does that mean that the tech acted the way we expected it to act? Or does that mean that the customer was actually able to say, I understand what you're doing, I understand where the value is, I understand where the impact is, I have a greater level of trust with you, and I see how it is that my people are going to be able to leverage this tech or deliver this tech to our next level of product development and be able to bring this tech out into the world. So many times we focus on the tech itself rather than focusing on, I believe, the much more important question of customer satisfaction. When we think about the bigger picture of customer satisfaction, what we'll begin to do as we unpack that and as we design that with the customer, and we co-invent that with the customer, is we're going to start seeing that our metrics that we would have considered as our most important metrics, which would be on time, on budget, and usable by the customer. Those are a part, but they're only a small part. What we're looking for now is we're also looking for adoption by the customer. We're looking for impact on the customer's business. We're looking at integration with their existing practices. We're looking at an understanding of how that shifts and change their practices over time. They're looking for help with that. We often put that into the bucket of user adoption. What we're missing when we start thinking about user adoption is how often they use the system. We're not necessarily trying to drive more system usage. Lots of times what we're doing is we're actually trying to set people up in a situation where we're using the technology less because it's so efficient and so fast and has such an amazing impact. So as we do that co-invention with our customer around what is the definition of success, what are the conditions of satisfaction that we're going to deliver for them, and how do those contribute to their definition of success, we also have to recognize that multiple different customers will have different understanding of definition of success. So if we go back to our example of 3 primary customers in a room, part of our conversation with them is really creating a shared understanding of success amongst those 3 primary customers. Again, you will have one final decision maker in that group, but that conversation for the design of the success criteria is absolutely essential to have with those people together. The Standish Group, through their research, notes that projects where stakeholders were engaged and satisfied had double the success rate. So not just the engagement, but also the clear understanding of success and what does that mean, and checking in on that perception of success as you move through the project. If we end up over-promising and over-delivering early on in a project, we tend to destroy the trust with those primary stakeholders or our primary customers. And what happens in there, because we're treating them like stakeholders, we're treating them like someone that we have to deliver a deliverable to, as opposed to human beings that we are co-inventing success with. If we do that over time, we're going to erode trust with them. As we erode trust with them, we will get less engagement with them, less co-invention with them. And you can see your project begin to fail in slow motion when you are maybe only a quarter or halfway through it. Our understanding of how to build, maintain, manage, be agile with, change, and adapt the definition of success or the success criteria for a project in partnership with our customers is what is going to determine the success of the project. So it's not enough just to define those success criteria and put them on a nice shelf and put them on a few slides and talk to our people about them maybe once a quarter. That understanding of customer satisfaction and declarations of satisfaction and an understanding of what success means needs to be embedded in the understanding of every single person working on your project, both your own project team and your customer's project team. So those conversations are constant for the duration of the project. So we have people who are not just coming in looking for a customer to tell them what to do at the lower levels of the project where a lot of the coding work gets done, but they are understanding what it means to deliver satisfaction for a customer. And that is a constant concern and a constant conversation for them. If you can build that sensibility and that practice into your project, what you will find is that over time, your ability to be able to manage the scope, your ability to be able to stay focused on the success criteria, your ability to be able to perceive shifts in context or changes in the business that might actually impact the scope or the success of your project will increase over time. Because now, rather than having that concern live at the top of the project between you and your 3 primary customers, hypothetically, what you will find is that concern lives throughout the entire team. If you can elevate your team to the level where they are paying attention to and have built for themselves an understanding of what success means at every step of the project, you will have built an agile team, not just in terms of how they deliver software, but in terms of how they think, how they engage with the customer, how they co-invent with the customer, how they manage trust with the customer, and how they innovate together across the project, which they're going to have to do if they're working in this incredibly fast-moving, AI-based, agile environment. So as you move forward with your projects, the ultimate indicator of project success is your definition of success, which is not a document, it's an ongoing conversation with your customer. It is a deep understanding of what local conditions of satisfaction are that bubble up to a definition of success for the project and will move and change during the process of the project. That's a really scary thought for a lot of us as project managers who are used to the idea of getting requirements at the beginning of a project and delivering on the requirements and expecting the customer to declare success. The world has changed. We are now working in an environment that is not just agile in terms of software development, it needs to be agile in terms of how we engage and co-invent with our customers. If you found this video useful, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like, let me know how this is working for you and what thoughts and questions is provoked for you. And also look at my other video called How Do You Measure the Success of a Project? I wish you the very best of luck in your project success, and I hope that you use some of these videos to increase the chances of that happening. I wish you the very best of luck. Take care.